The news day continues here on One News Now. I'm Riza Diaz. The black box of the ill-fated Philippine Air Force C-130 aircraft has been sent to the United States for analysis, which would take about a month. According to Air Force Public Affairs Office Chief Lieutenant Colonel Maynard Mariano, this would aid in the investigation of the Sulu crash that killed at least 50 people last week. The black box contains a captive voice recorder and flight data recorder that will help determine what exactly happened during the fatal crash. Mariano added that all parts of the C-130 have been recovered and that the military will conduct a reconstruction of the aircraft in Mactan. But he maintains that the plane was airworthy despite it being refurbished aircraft from the United States. Now, because of the incident, AFP Chief of Staff General Cirilito Sobihana has ordered a full assessment of all military equipment. Now, as families of the victims of the recent C-130 plane crash continue to mourn their death, the father of military nurse First Lieutenant Sheena Alexandria Tato said the incident could have been avoided. Gemma Vansenia with the story.
This is their destiny. Ayan, ang Panginoon lang nakakaalam. Pero ang tanong ko, ganito sa Panginoon. Oo, destiny nga po nila. Pero bakit sa ganitong paraan nangyari? Marami pa sanang paraan kung anong masakit. Masakit na masakit. Sana ako nang kinuha.
It has been a week since First Lieutenant Sheena Alexandria Tato died in the C-130 plane crash in Paticol, Sulu. Still, the grieving father, retired Colonel Wilfredo Tato, doesn't have the courage to look at his daughter's remains because of its burnt condition. He doesn't want to blame anyone, but the retired soldier who was also assigned in Sulu before said the accident could have been avoided if only the government developed the Sulu airport, which has been used by the military for a very long time.
Wala ko sinisisi sa aeroplano, no, sa piloto na season, hindi ko sinisisi. No, kasi mahuhusay mga yun. Ang nangyari lang dahil ang runway maiksi. Tapos nag-maneuver para mag-take off, sumabit doon sa nyug. Kung maaari sana, tanggalin yung mga obstruction dyan sa paligid na nakakasagabal sa paglipad ng aeroplano. Sana po maksyonan.
Tato admits that it was him who encouraged Sheena to be a military nurse, since they do not have enough money to send her to medical school to pursue her dream of becoming a doctor. But he witnessed how devoted his daughter was when she started working in the military. Sheena's closest cousin, CK Halalon, recalled how her Ate Rhea became her role model.
Ate kasi is very strict when it comes to profession, to your career, and to your school. So nung kasi ako, nung college ako, lagi niya ako pinapagalitan kasi I would run to her telling her, ate, this is very hard for me. I don't know if I can make it to third year, ganon. Tapos sabi niya, you have to do it. Tibay ng loob, ganon.
So yun yung na-instill niya.
Kasi si ate kasi yung role model ko ever since I turned high school. Yung closeness kasi namin is irrevocable, something like that. So, ganun na nga. Masakit, pero andyan na wala na magagawa.
Meanwhile, 5 survivors of the said plane crash were brought to Southern Philippines Medical Center's burn unit for skin grafting operations. For News 5, Gem Avancenia, we are One News.
Pfizer and partner BioNTech are planning to ask the US FDA to greenlight the use of a third shot or a booster dose of its COVID-19 vaccine. This Bloomberg report tells us more.
And Robert, Heidi was just saying earlier that here in the U.S. everything is back to normal. We're going to get boosters even before they get their first dose. What do we know so far?
Yeah, so Pfizer, I talked to the head of research today, and they're, as you said, they're going to apply for a third dose booster in emergency authorization in the U.S. in a month. And that's based on a small study, 10 to 20 people, that shows giving a third dose, as of the existing vaccine, 6 to 8 months later, that can bolster neutralizing antibody levels by 5 to 10-fold. And they think that's going to be enough to help provide some further protection against, say, the Delta variant. And there's been, in Israel, there's been some mild breakthrough cases there, and it may just be because antibodies are waning a little bit after you've been vaccinated for 6 months.
Robert, and that's exactly why we're seeing, I guess, more infections in young people, right, who are largely unvaccinated at this point. What is the data showing across the vaccine options as to how effective they are against Delta?
Yeah, so basically the way to think about it is that the vaccines, especially the more effective vaccines, they're still holding against Delta, and they still give you strong protection against severe disease and hospitalization against Delta. Now, there was this recent report out of Israel that indicated that while the protection against severe disease was still strong, that, the protection with the Pfizer vaccine was only 64% against symptomatic disease recently, and Pfizer's thinking is that basically the antibodies have faded a little bit because Israel is one of the first countries to really get going in the vaccination campaign, so some of the first people to get it, the antibodies might have faded a little bit, and that might allow a very transmissible variant to kind of penetrate through a little bit and cause an initial mild infection before kind of the more longer-lasting components of the immune system response kick in.
So what's the outlook for places like Japan, where you have thousands, hundreds of athletes coming in from abroad, and they're not fully immunized, or the vaccination rollout has been pretty slow still?
Well, I mean, this virus is highly transmissible. It's become more transmissible. So among people that aren't fully vaccinated or aren't vaccinated at all, it's still a definite danger, and people still definitely need to take strong precautions because it's gotten, more transmissible over time, not less.
Many countries are easing COVID-19 restrictions, but with the emergence of the Delta variant, this may have to be reconsidered. More details on this Bloomberg video.
The COVID-19 pandemic took a toll on the world's health and economy. At the pandemic's onset, governments worldwide imposed restrictions on business and travel to contain the spread of the virus.
We will see more cases, and things will get worse than they are right now. It is 10 times more lethal than the seasonal flu. The flu has a mortality of 0.1%. This has a mortality of 10 times that.
The measures disrupted the world's economy and caused massive job losses in many service industries. Governments rushed to provide stimulus as central banks eased monetary policy.
We are deploying these lending powers to an unprecedented extent, enabled in large part by the financial backing from the Congress and the Treasury.
By the end of last year, pharmaceutical companies and governments had come together to develop vaccines faster than anyone expected. But rates of vaccination around the world are still uneven. According to the University of Oxford, 25% of the world population overall has received at least one dose of a COVID-19 vaccine. But that includes a range of from over 50% in North America to just over 1% in Africa.
We provide clear and compelling case for accelerating vaccinations everywhere.
The health crisis is now easing in much of the world, and many countries are rolling back their restrictions. Some countries, including the United States, have scrapped mask mandates for those who are vaccinated.
We'll move away from legal restrictions and allow people to make their own informed decisions about how to manage the virus.
The latest setback in the global recovery is the Delta variant, which stoked a dramatic wave of COVID cases in India. Now, the variant accounts for over half of the new cases in the United States.
In today's briefing, we discussed how the Delta variant is already responsible for half of all cases in many parts of this country.
The highly contagious variant sent Sydney back into lockdown and is threatening the Tokyo Olympics. Japan plans to declare a state of emergency for Tokyo as the Delta variant spreads in the eastern part of the country.
What we want to do is give us our best chance of making sure this is the only lockdown we have until the vast majority of our citizens are vaccinated.
To beat the COVID-19 blues, a city in Spain staged an open-air concert with protective bubbles and headphones for partygoers. Around 40 people attended the concert where they stayed in bubbles, which act as a shield from COVID-19. The The shopping center where the performance was held looked like a scene from a futuristic sci-fi movie. In Spain, cases have been dwindling over the past months, but began to surge in June due to the Delta variant and more socializing among younger groups. Now, for more updates, visit News 5, the Philippine Star, and Business World Online. We're inviting you to join us also at 1 p.m. as we continue to monitor the day's biggest stories. You can also catch One News on Signal Play. Register for a free account now at www.signalplay.com and stream One News live anytime, anywhere. I'm Riza Diaz. Mask on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines. We are One News.